So I've cut out the stay as well for the both sides. So here's the collar stay I'm going to be using, okay? So I'll take it to my ironing board to go and iron it. Guys, welcome back to the sewing video of our shirt collar that we drafted from our last class, okay? If you have not seen the video where I drafted this shirt collar, I'll be putting the link down in the description box so you can go and check out the pattern, okay? So as you can see, I've cut out my patterns and I've added my stay, okay? I've added collar stay to them, you see. This is the collar stand and this is the collar fold, and I've added all of my seam allowance around my pattern. Like I said when we were drafting this pattern, this collar stand should end at 1.25 or 1.5 inches. That's the standard, I mean by the wideness, okay? It shouldn't be more than 1.5 inches. So, and I said this, the round neck of my garment I'm working with is 18 inches, okay? So here I'm just going to measure this part to see what I have, okay? And I have exactly 19 inches here, okay? That means I need 0.5 inch seam allowance and 0.5 inch seam allowance around here to take it out. So I'll also do the same. Like I said, the collar stand, this smaller one, is 2 inches longer than the collar fold, okay? So I'm going to measure. If this is ending at 18, this should end at 16. So I'm going to take my tape measure and I'm going to measure this. I have 17 inches exactly here as well. So that means I'm going to be taking 0.5 inch here and 0.5 inch away here. And this, like I said, for the collar fold should end at 3 inches or 3.5. It can be smaller, but the standard is 3.5 inch. Don't allow your collar fold to be bigger than 3.5 inch, except you are just trying to create a statement, okay? But for a normal top, a normal shirt, a normal dress, this collar fold should not be more than 3.5 inches. That's the standard measurement. It can be smaller, okay? It can also be bigger in some cases, except you're trying to create a statement, you're trying to create a show with the collar, okay? But for your normal dresses, your normal top, this collar fold should stay at 3.5 inches, okay? So I'm just going to measure that. I have 4 inches here. So that means I'm going to be taking 0.25 here and 0.25 here as my seam allowance, okay? So now I cannot take off my, patterns. So make sure to watch the video how I drafted this pattern, okay? So I'll take off my patterns now and I'll keep that aside. So the first thing I want to do is to work with the collar fold, okay? To work with this bigger one. So I'm just going to place those two together. So I'll give it a nice trim around the stay that I added so that it can be nice and neat, okay? So I'll bring these two pieces together and I'm going to be sewing like this, okay? So this part that is like sharp, that's the part I'm going to be sewing. Remember, I'm going to take ½ inch on this side and ½ inch on this side, and on this side I'm taking 0.25. So I'm just going to sew like this and like this. I hope you guys can see. Let me use my marker pen, okay? So this is the top and this is the bottom. So I'm sewing this part and this part, okay? I'm just using marker, okay, just to show us the part that we're going to be sewing. So I'll put on my sewing machine and I'll continue sewing, and I'm placing them both. You see I have two pieces. I'm placing them both right side together, okay? Just place it right side together and I'll sew. So after sewing, I'm going to notch it all around so that it can relax. Okay, I'm going to notch every part that I sewn. Then this part that is the angle, I'm going to cut it out like so. This angle part, I'm going to cut that part out. Okay, like so. Can you see? So just make sure you give it as much notch as possible because you want all of those parts to relax. And I'll trim a little bit down. So I'm going to flip it to the good side. So after sewing, guys, I'm flipping it to the right side. This is what I have. Okay, so I'm going to use my scissors to bring out all of this part. Okay, just to poke it out. I'll do the same on this side. Okay, so after flipping out my collar fall to the right side, this is what I have. So now I'm going to now take it to the ironing board and I'll give it a really good press, guys. I'll take it to the ironing board and I'll give it a good press. So I'll go and do that off camera right now. So guys, I've given my collar fall a good press. Okay, so this is what I have after pressing it. Okay, so I've given it a good press and I'm going to now bring it together now with the collar stand. So I'm just going to pick the collar stand like so. Remember, the collar stand should be 1 inch, is 2 inch longer than the collar fall. Okay, so I'm going to make sure here that I bring out the 1 inch around here. Okay, so I'm going to bring it out here. I'll do the same for this other side. I'll bring this here as well. So I want to make sure, you see, can you see? I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm placing them both together, and this is the collar for here, and the collar stand is 1 inch longer than it. So I'm going to pin. I'm going to use my pin to pin them all the way down like so. Okay, so I'll come to this other side. I'll do the same thing to this other side. So I'm just tucking my collar for in between the collar stand. Okay, I'm placing one in front and one at the back, right side facing. So I'm also going to take this, can you see? I'm also going to place it together like so. Then I'll pin it all the way down. I'll just use my pin to pin. Guys, after pinning, I'm going to sew. Okay, so this is what I have on the both sides. Okay, I've tucked my collar fall into my collar stand. Okay, so my collar stand is just in between my collar fall, my collar stand. Can you see? So this is what I have after pinning. Okay, can you see? So I'm going to sew now, then I'll show you guys. So if I want to start sewing, I'm going to start sewing from this upper part. Okay, so this is what I'll do. So I'm just going to move away from my seam allowance at the bottom over there. So remember, there is a curve here, so I'm just going to follow the curve. So then I'll take off my pins as I sew. Take off my pins as I sew. So when I get to this other end as well, I'm going to also sew around it. Okay, so I'm going to follow through to my curve. So I'll pick up my presser foot and I'll pick my two pieces together on that side, then I'll sew. And I'll stop at my seam allowance. So guys, this is what I have after sewing. Then I'm going to give it a really nice notch. Okay, I'm going to notch it, notch. After notching, I'm going to trim it down. Then I'll take it to my ironing board. I'll give it a really good press. So I'm going to trim down the allowance. So after sewing and trimming, this is what we have. I'm going to just flip it over to the other side like so. So now flip it to the right side, guys. Then our shirt collar is as good as ready. So can you see what we have? So this is what we have at the moment. I'm just going to use my scissors to bring out all of this part, okay? So, and this is what we have, and our collar is almost ready, guys. So this is exactly what our collar is looking like at the moment. So can you see? So you can give all of this part a top stitch if you like. You can top stitch all of this part if you wish, and to keep it down the more, okay? But first I'm just going to take it to my ironing board and I'll give it a really good press, okay? So I'm just going to take it to the iron now and I'll give it a really good press. So this is how the collar is looking, and this is what we have. So that's the part we are going to be joining to our garment, okay? So I'm going to take it now to the iron. So I'm going to go give it a good press. I've ironed out my collar piece, okay? As you can see, is well ironed and looking all flat and neat now, okay? I also went ahead to tuck in my seam allowance with my iron. Can you see? So this is my seam allowance. I also went ahead to tuck that in, and it's looking like this, okay? On the both side, I tucked in my seam allowance with my iron, and this is what my collar piece is looking at the moment. Like I said before, you can give it a top stitch all around this part if you wish, but I'm not going to be top stitching it because it's looking so flat and nice. So now I'll bring my garment. So this is the top that I'm going to be sewing it with. So I need to be sure that they are going to match, okay? Like I measured this neckline before from the beginning of this tutorial, and this neckline was measured 18 inches, okay? And my pattern now also measures the same 18 inches, guys, okay? So I'm just going to measure now. I take it all the way around together. I'm going to be tucking in my top into this collar like so, right side facing. I'll start from this part, okay? I'm just going to tuck in my top. I hope you guys are seeing what I'm doing, because I've already folded my seam allowance here away. So I'm just going to bring in my top and I'll tuck it in like so. So you can pin if you want, or you can just keep sewing. So I'm just going to tuck it in. So I'll just pin at this first part, okay? So I'll now continue until I get to the other end like so. I'm also just going to do that around there. Can you see? So I'm just going to tuck in my, this is my collar and this is my top. I'll open up my collar because I've folded my seam allowance, so I'll tuck this into it like so. Then I can continue sewing. So I'll start sewing from this other end now. So but first, before you do that, you have to remeasure, okay? So that you don't fall into trouble. You have to remeasure to be sure that they are equal and they are accurate, okay? So you want to go as slow as possible so that you can catch all of the seams together. Now we're sewing the collar and the top together, and you want to just keep going slightly so that you'll be sure that everything is properly tucked inside, okay? Because this is the last finishing part, guys. So I'll just continue sewing. So just watch what I'm doing. I'll just go slowly and nicely just to be sure that my garment is actually tucked on the inside. Then I'll also watch from the back, you see, to be sure if it's tucked in. So you just want to make sure that you're catching every part. Every part is very important, okay? So I'll just continue sewing. Like I said, there's no rush when you're sewing this part. Just need to go slowly so that everything will come out flawless at the same time. Okay, so I'm also just watching from the back to see if the back is okay. I'll take off my pins and I'll place this here properly. Okay, so you can see my collar is matching up properly, guys. So I'm going to tuck this in, and voila, we're almost at the end. Nice, guys, nice. We're finished sewing our collar. Okay, so this is really simple, guys. Okay, this is really simple. Can you see? This is what I have. My collar piece is already joined now to my garment, and it's looking all nice and neat and flawless. Okay, so I can take it now to my iron and I'll give it a good press, and my collar piece is ready. So see, guys, it's really looking all nice. So you can put in your buttons, whatever the case may be. You can put in your buttons and your collar is as good as ready. Can you see, guys? So this is how to attach your two-piece collar. So I'll just take it to the ironing board. I'll give it a really good press so you guys can see. So guys, I've pressed out my collar. Okay, this is what it's looking like. This is the finished look of the collar which we just sewn together. Okay, so you can add your buttons around here. Okay, you can put in your buttons, whichever kind of buttons that you want, you can put it here. So I hope you've been able to learn something from this video. So do not forget to send me a message or just drop me a comment in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer every of your questions. Okay, I'll be glad to answer every of your questions. And you can reach me on my social media pages at Lihano Fashion School on Instagram, at Lihano Fashion School on Facebook. Okay, please, guys, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share, and please turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. Okay, so I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.